You're listening to a podcast from the Finnish Football Show.
Yep.
Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. I'm Mark Wiltshire, joined again by Keke Muleri. Hi, Keke.
Terve.
And we're back. We're going to review the two most recent games for the women's national team. As the Helmarit steamed over Croatia twice, home and away. A dominant home victory, and we'll take a look at the match stats in a minute, and followed up by an equally dominant away performance. So all of which leaves Finland on the cusp of winning Group B2 and progressing into League A for the Euro 25 qualifiers, because this is how they've lined up the different competitions for the women's games. We'll also have a look at the Veikkausliiga playoffs for the final Europa Conference place. That's now complete. VPS Vaasa surprised absolutely no one by winning their two games against Honka and securing their return to European action in 2024. We'll also throw forward to HJK Helsinki in the Europa Conference this year. And no sooner, Keke, as the season ended than the managerial merry-go-round cranks into gear again.
Mm-hmm. Yes, mate.
So
yeah.
we'll have a look at that, and I've got a little bit of music to play down there as well, so we'll talk about that a bit later.
Nice.
Before we get started, just wanted to give a couple of shout outs. First of all, to Seppo in our Facebook group, because he's been posting a few comments and questions lately and trying to get the conversation going, which is great. So thanks, Seppo, and anyone else who's in the Facebook group. You know, when we post stuff, make a comment. Keep it friendly, but make a comment. And or ask questions. Or more to the point, if we ask questions, answer them. That would be helpful. We also had someone, Keke, donate us a beer.
Yeah, we did. On the Buy Me a Coffee app, we got a notification. A few beers came in. But yeah, it said donator decided to keep their identity anonymous. So anonymous beer donation guy, girl, thank you very much.
Or more to the point, cheers.
Yeah, indeed.
And also, this is a little bit special. I wanted to mention there's Tessa Pertula, who went to Päiväkoti and like primary school with my daughter Evie, was just called up to the Helmarit under-18s squad, which is amazing. Congratulations, Tessa. It's been many years since I've driven you around to art classes and other hobbies with your little gang of girls, and I haven't followed your career closely, but I reckon we'll have to keep an eye on her progress now, Keke.
Indeed, yeah. After all those dad taxis, she owes you a couple of tickets, I think. When she makes it to the A national team. So
World Cup final tickets. World Cup
That's
final
it.
tickets. That'd be lovely. Yeah, thanks very much. I think you're right. Who knew dad cabs was such a long-term investment?
Indeed.
All right, enough of that. If you didn't get your name shouted out this time, then do something to attract our attention, and we'll give you a shout next time. But I think, Keke, the referee's ready. And if you're ready, let's crack on with the Women's Nations League 2024-2023 campaign. I've been getting all my years mixed up lately. I've been writing that we're coming to the end of 23 and going into 25. I don't know where my head's at. But this was the double header against Croatia for the Helmarit, and the home game saw Finland win 3-0 against Croatia. And this was the 50th anniversary match. And it was quite nice to see for the national anthems that the current team was joined by a lot of the players from that 1973 team. And then they all sang Happy Birthday to themselves, which was.
Yeah.
But it was nice, and I saw that also. It was about 50 years since the first England Women's International as well, and there was a bit of noise and a bit of talk about that as well at the same time.
No, it was a really good touch. It was nice to see the more mature ladies join the current crop out on the pitch, and yeah, I just felt a bit sorry from that. They had to kneel or squat down for the national anthem.
That's
so,
true. Yeah, it should
one,
have been the
one or
younger
two of
ones
them-
getting on their knees.
Exactly. One or two of them struggled to get up again afterwards. All those knees and injuries on those dodgy pitches they played over the years must have been taking their toll. But no, seriously, it was a really great touch, and you could see the emotion in everybody's faces really, and it was so great that there were so many fans in the Bolt Arena to witness that, mate.
Yeah, and what they witnessed was just a very dominant Finland performance. Keke, do you want to talk about the team first of all? Have you got the team listing there in front of you?
Yeah, mate, certainly have. So yeah, it was a pretty predictable lineup. I would have guessed. We started off with Tini Riikka Korpela in goals, Emma Koivisto, Natalia Kuikka, Eva Nyström and Eli Pikkujämsä at the back. And then into midfield, we had Emmi Allanen, Evelina Summanen, Ria Erling, Hartikainen, who was a bit of a surprising, well, I say surprise inclusion, but yeah, the only one who you sort of went, oh, Saloranta's changed it up a bit there. And then up front, Linda Sällström and Jutta Rantala. Yeah,
and I think the Hartikainen's name won't be a surprise in the future from what I saw in that game. She had a really good game. I said a couple of times about how dominant it was, and I've put in the blog post a few kind of images that I've liberated from the UEFA website that I keep banging on about, but it's very handy. It's very easy to navigate all the different UEFA competitions, and when they lay out the results in all the different competitions, they're all done in the same way, so you get familiar with it.
Yeah, and that's enough nice things we're going to say about you.
Yeah, but I've said it in several competitions, and one or other of you always boos me down. But it's very helpful to me in this job of
indeed
cobbling together this show. But just looking at some of the stats, Finland had for everything that I say about Finland, Croatia scored 0. So total attempts 16, attempts on target 8. Attempts off target 8, 3 goals, and corners taken 12. Like it was just incredible, and the one stat you don't get is possession. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a little more detail than the system is able to generate at the moment. But you would imagine that it was very high. Up in the 70s, surely. Do you want to talk us through the goals, Keke?
Yeah, I mean, you've obviously said that it was a dominant performance by Finland, and it was. The 3-0 victory, fantastic result. I think when that first goal went in after just 5 minutes, we thought that the floodgates may well open, but Croatia, I think, did go there to sit in their low block to make it difficult for Helmarit and basically, damage limitation, I think, for them was the order of the day.
Yeah, they didn't exactly park the bus, but they certainly didn't get it out of first gear, I would say.
No, that's right. So, I mean, 5th or 6th minute, I think it was, Natalia Kuikka sent a brilliant cross ball into the penalty area, and first to get to it was Linda Sällström, who scored a unprecedented 57th national team goal. I mean, brilliant, great goal, lovely, as I said, lovely cross ball by Natalia Kuikka, and we at that point, I mean, there's two ways of looking at it. First of all, thought oh wow, we've broken their defence, so early into the game, this could be a cricket score. But the other way of looking at it is it was great that we managed to get that early goal, because I think the Croatia defence may have proved to be, or we may have got frustrated if we hadn't have got that goal, because after that we did have further chances, but they proved to be quite resilient.
Yeah, I mean, as we just said, there were loads of chances. If you spread 16 chances out through 90 minutes, that's like one every 5 minutes or so, isn't it? And I made a note in the first 20 minutes that Finland was so dominating possession. It was almost like watching an ice hockey power play where one team just keeps the ball moving side to side and having shots. It was almost a bit unfair. And for all of the teams that I've followed through my life, it felt nice to sometimes be in that position rather than on the other end of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was like you say, mate. They did, and it wasn't just one dimensional. Helmarit tried lots of. There was crosses. There was cross field balls that created that first goal coming in. There was long shots from outside the box. As I said, crosses from the wings. They tried to use the wings. So yeah, they were sort of peppering the Croatia box and the goalkeeper and the defence there. But yeah, they went in at half time still at 1-0. I mean, there was a couple of chances. Eli Pikkujämsä in particular found Emi Alanen, who made a little run and really thought she was going to score, but the ball fell into the goalkeeper's hands. Basic, I think her name is. So she managed to make that save. The keeper did quite well, actually. Jutta Rantanen had a left-footed shot from, I think it was around 20, 25 yards out. Looked like it was going into the bottom right-hand corner, but keeper managed to turn it around a post for a corner.
Yeah, and there was also before the second goal went in, there was a lovely curling shot from Hartikainen, and she was busy all game, and not just busy headless chicken, but busy, skillful, and effective with it. And there was one chance she had in the 57th minute where she was on the left. She cut in just into the corner of the box and sort of a sort of curling chip of a shot that bounced off the top of the bar, and you could see on her face that she thought that was in. I thought that was in. And it just didn't quite.
7,000 people in the ground thought it was in.
Yeah, exactly. But that was then on the 65th minute came the second goal, and for all those shots and chances, it was the old Oma Marley, the own goal, a cross from Kolonen on the left, evaded all of her teammates, and a defender actually way past the back post and quite a way out from goal managed to get her leg in such a position that he bounced off her knee and went back in just inside the far post for 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Hartikainen. Anni Hartikainen came off for Heidi Kolonen, I believe, and it didn't take her long to get involved, swing that ball in, and it made its way into the Croatian net, courtesy of our old friend Oma Marley. So nice bit of play there. I mean, just rewinding a touch, I think it was still in the first half, just before the break. Bria Erling, who had been linking up well, playing some lovely 1-2s, received a yellow card, which I believe ruled her out of the away game. So that was a bit of a shame to see her pick that up, but that's the way it works.
Yeah, it's possible that there may have been. Well, there were a lot of changes in the team, so she could well have been rotated out had she not been suspended, I suppose. Towards the end of the game, I wrote here 65 to 75 minutes. There's so much Finland pressure. I'm losing track of all the half chances, and my fingers don't work as quick as their feet work on the pitch, and the predictive text and the names that my phone doesn't recognise. It's hard work. So trying to keep track. But it was right at the end that Finland got the third goal from Sani Franci. Talk us through that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think it was right, as you say, right at the end, into stoppage time even. Sani Franci came on to replace Jutta Rantanen, and Evelina Summerlin played an absolutely wonderful through pass. Francie managed to finish it, and it was 3-0. She sort of wheeled away with delight on her face, customary celebration, and everyone got sent home into the night happy. And I think, especially when you consider Croatia's tactic of that low block, I think 3-0 is a fantastic return, to be honest, mate, to be able to breach that defence. And obviously, I mentioned their keeper made a couple of saves to breach that defence and come away with a 3-0 win. I think is a really, really great result. You've touched on the stats. It was a total domination, and yeah, it was a fantastic way to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Helmarit.
And then we moved on to the reverse fixture a few days later in Šibenik in Croatia. And I mean, it was kind of similar story again, wasn't it? Although in this game, Croatia actually had a shot.
Yeah.
And therefore Finland had to make a save.
Yeah.
But again, we should start with the starting lineup, because, as I said, there were quite a lot of changes there.
There were. So we went with Anna Tamminen in goal. Just a quick word on Anna Tamminen. I mean, we mentioned her in the previous show and said she'd had that absolutely outstanding run of clean sheets for her club side, Hammarby, in the Dal Allsvenskan. And I know, like, it must be, I don't know if I can't speak for Anna Tamminen. I was going to say frustrating, but I can't put words in her mouth. But when you've got a legend like Tini Korpela, who, captain, been in the game for so long, a legend of Finnish women's football, when she's there in your position in front of you, playing to the high standard that she does all the time, I'm just assuming that Anna sits there thinking, crikey, when's this chance coming along? But thankfully, she did get a chance, and yeah, she proved to be well deserved. So,
and she's getting had a couple of games in this competition, because I think in the previous two games, Korpela started the first game and then Tamminen the seconds, and that seems to be a recurring thing. I wouldn't be surprised to see it in the later games as well. Indeed.
I mean, it's just we've had across men and women, throughout history, we've had a plethora of decent keepers. So it's a nice tradition to continue. And yeah, it's just great to see Anna Tamminen getting the recognition for her hard work in Hammarby there. So she started the game, and then we had Pikku Jämsä, Tunnila, Kuika, and Koivisto making up the defence. I believe that was that Tunnila's competitive debut. I think she's played for the national team before, but this was her competitive debut, if I'm not mistaken. And then in midfield, we had Heidi Kolonen, Evelina Summanen, Emi Allanen, and Olga Attinen. And up front, we had Una Sevenius and goal scorer from the previous fixture, Sani Franci.
Yeah, and I think if we didn't say it before, the third goal in the previous game was set up by a lovely sort of slide rule pass through the defence from Evelina Summanen. And she kind of carried on, started this game where she left off on the previous game, didn't she? Because the two goals in the 2-0 victory both came from Summanen early in the game. The first one in the first 5 minutes, it was well, the goalkeeper won't be happy with this. There was a deep cross from the left to the back post. Emma Koivisto played the ball into the 6-yard box, and the keeper kind of fumbled it, really, and Evelina Summanen was there just to poke it home from a couple of meters for another early goal, and another one to just settle the nerves.
Yeah, I mean, again, opened the scoring early, like you said, settled the nerves down. Cross came in from Heidi Kolonen to the back post. Emma Koivisto nodded it down, and Summanen, keeper couldn't hold on to it. Summanen poked it home, and brilliant. As I said, I've said before, she's been playing really, really well in Spurs, and just continued that fantastic form into the national team. And it was great to get that early goal chalked up onto the board, and and yeah, especially away from home, I think we have to say that Croatia's tactics seemed similar. They'd obviously been stung a little bit in Helsinki and wanted to limit the chances. But yeah, to get that early goal again after just 5 minutes was fantastic start, mate.
And that Spurs combo linked up again just 7 minutes later in the 12th minute. There was a free kick for Finland right by the left-hand corner flag as Finland are attacking. And Artinen crossed the ball into the 6-yard box. Summanen's there again, makes a bit of space for herself, and then is basically unmarked to head the ball home. 2-0, 12 minutes, away we go.
Yeah, I mean, Olga Artinen obviously has been in Spurs this season as well. I've seen them live, the pair of them linking up together, and it's just they seem to be on a wavelength where they know what each other's going to do and where they're going to be, and obviously that was to the advantage of the Finland national team in this instance. Like, yeah, fantastic free kick, and yeah, Summanen scores. Again, just 12 minutes on the clock, and you are thinking, okay, what can we go on and do here? But because of those early, I mean, Croatia did have to come out of it after that. They sort of, I don't know if the damage limitation went sort of out the window. They did play slightly more courageously than they had done previously. But yeah, we managed to soak it up. The defense were comfortable. I don't think Anna Tamminen had too many scary moments, and yeah, we also had chances to extend our lead. But 2-0 away from home, I think anyone would have taken that before the start.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see all of this game, but when I looked at the highlights video, it was a bit shorter than normal. Normally it's about 8 to 10 minutes, and this one was only 5 minutes, and they showed no highlights between the 52nd and the 85th minute. So either someone's made a mistake with the editing, or there wasn't that much going on noteworthy. But then when you look at those stats again, like in this game, Finland had 14 attempts on goal, 6 on target, 6 off. So clearly they were still creating throughout the game.
Yeah, but I mean, sorry, mate. I was just going to say, yeah, Una Savanius, she had a couple of shots. One that just flipped over the bar, I think. Annie Hartikainen came on in this game. Yeah, she replaced Heidi Kolonen and had a couple of chances. But yeah, it was we looked as though we were going to go on and maybe equal that 3-0 victory, but as it transpired, it stayed at 2-0, and yeah, good that Eve got those early goals for us. So I think she had another go with a free kick around 65 or 70 minutes. Eve got a free kick. Yeah, she again shot just over when the hat-trick was beckoning, mate. But so that was a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, all in all, cracking day at the office.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was the 86th. We have to mention the Croatia chance. Come on. 86 minutes. They had a free kick on the left, high into the box, and it was sort of headed goalwards, but easily held by Anna Tamminen. And that was Croatia's first attempt on goal in 3 hours of football against Finland.
There you go.
And I think it's over the years, as we've tried to cover the Helmarit team more and more. We've said this in the preview as well. Some of these names, the more you talk about them, the more you start to notice which of those names are really important in that team. And we've had a couple of retirements in recent years, and others are coming through. And now these new players, like and now my mind's gone blank. Hartikainen and Savanius. I was thinking of the Siren sisters
twins, yeah,
as well, for example, just to name a few, and in no particular order. So it's looking positive, and looking at the group B2 table, Finland at the top, 4 wins in 4 games, 10 goals scored, none conceded, 12 points. Laughing.
Happy days.
Yeah, absolutely. And the final 2 fixtures are Romania at home, and then Slovakia away, and I think if we beat Romania, who are bottom with one point from 4 games, then we can't be caught by Slovakia anyway. And when we played them in Finland, we won 4-0. So I don't really feel like there's too much to be worried about. And we explained before that the UEFA has kind of aligned the qualifying campaigns for the Euros with the Nations League. So I think that Finland. Now I don't know if this is going to be helpful. I haven't thought through the ramifications of this, but in theory, Finland will get promoted into League A. But then that goes into qualifying for the Euros. So I guess they're going to be playing tougher teams in an attempt to qualify for the Euros. I don't know if I've quite understood exactly the pluses and minuses.
We need a large dose of Rich Nelson
We definitely do. Rich, where are you?
And outs of that one. Yeah.
Did nobody think to send him the link for this meeting? But anyway, I think it's perfectly acceptable for us to sound confused and for the listener to realise it's not just them, that we are figuring this out as we go along as well.
And Rich Nelson will be back soon with
I do hope so, with some facts and some stats. Yeah. So the final 2 games for Finland are on November the 30th. That's the home game against Romania, and then a few days later a week later. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, a week later, on the 5th of December, away to Slovakia. So we'll see how things are after those games. So if you look wherever you're watching or listening to this, just below there's a link to the blog post, and in there are links to the highlights for both of those games on YouTube. So go in, have a scroll down. There's all kinds of graphics and pictures that I've pinched from the UEFA website, but it's all marketing for them, so they don't care.
Indeed.
Keke, let's move on and just look at the end of the Veikkausliiga, because we were talking about this Eurolopputurnaus, the Europa Conference playoff, and there's a situation where there were two quarterfinals, 1 semi-final, and then a 2-legged final, which doesn't sound like it makes sense, but it actually does. So the two semi-finals saw Inter and Honka draw 0-0, but then Honka won on penalties, and also saw HJK and Oulu draw 2-2, and Oulu won on penalties, and that set up a kind of one semi-final between Honka and Oulu, the winner of which would play in the final against Vaasa. And that semi-final saw Honka win 5-0 against Oulu.
Wow.
I mean, that was quite something to see that result. But then this 2-legged final, Wednesday, the 1st of November, Honka 0, Vaasa 1, in front of 954 people. And then a few days later in Vaasa, the score was also 1-0, Vaasa 1, Honka 0. So they win 2-0 on aggregate in front of 2,700 supporters. So it's quite a big difference in crowds there, for sure. And that kind of basically the point of that. I mean, I've seen a couple of people griping about this on Twitter, because I refuse to call it X. It's always Twitter. And then it's always Twitter, and there'll always be tweets. Someone tweeted on Twitter that this playoff thing is pointless, and Vaasa rightfully belong in Europe, and they should go straight through there. And I do think that they deserved their place there. It wasn't. The way they performed at the end of the season was just stunning, and we've
phenomenal.
I think we've given them all due credit on this show. But having this playoff thing kept everything alive until the end of the season as well. So I don't know. I've mixed feelings about it because, you know, otherwise it's all over, and it's over a lot earlier, and there's not much to play for many of the teams.
I thought it was quite exciting. You know, like I do understand Vepsel fans bemoaning that the fact that they could have got bombed out and somebody else could have taken their spot in Europe, but I don't think any of us, as well as Honka did against Arce Oulu in the semi-final, I don't think any of us would have, even you, Mark, through gritted teeth, would have bet against VPS. So
No.
so yeah, and just for the outsider or for the voyeur, it just made the whole thing a lot more interesting, and it was great. I mean, I for one, I'm really pleased that Vepsel managed to get that 2-0 aggregate win, and especially with a second leg in front of their home fans and qualify for Europe. But yeah, the whole process of the quarterfinals, that single semi-final, and then the final was it was interesting.
Yeah, and it had all of that had an effect on the top scorers in the Veikkausliiga as well. It got quite tight right at the top in the end, but it finished with Radulovic of HJK with 18 goals in 24 games, which is quite impressive, really. Rate of return. Second was Peter Michael from VPS with 17 goals in 28 games, and I think it's probably 17 goals in the final 15 games or something of the season, wasn't it? It was incredible performance. Ashley Coffey from Oulu, 13 in 25 games in third place, and Jaime Moreno from HJK with 11 in 26 in fourth place. And a few others on 9 and 8, but I think they're the top four that all got into double figures and worth mentioning as well.
Yeah.
Let's move on to HJK Helsinki in the Europa Conference, and just do you have their the details of their fixtures and scores and stuff in front of you, Keke?
Let's have a look. Yeah.
Maybe you can take us through how they've done recently, who they've got coming up, and then we'll hear from one Ali Manson, who again has sent us a voice note, which is good. We get to hear his dulcet tones.
I mean, yeah, they so HJK, they after that really fantastic performance that I think we've mentioned already, away to Aberdeen, where they got a 1-1 draw, which was honestly a really good European performance. They went to Frankfurt and got a bit of a schooling. It was on the end of a 6-0 reverse there. So yeah, that one was a bit of a shock to the system. And this Thursday they host Frankfurt at home in Helsinki. So yeah, I don't know what the Mercury's doing over there, but maybe if the weather gets to the Germans, I mean, I don't know if that'll play a part at all. But
do you know what, here in Seinäjoki, it's been down as low as sort of -8 last week, but today it was up to +6. It's
there you go.
The ground is a bit frozen, and there's lumps of snow and ice around, but it's not that cold, so they might even lose that advantage.
Obviously, though, they won't want to be on the end of another Tonkin. So whether we see a Croatia-style low block damage limitation type tactic from HJK, who knows? But yeah, they definitely will want to try and better that 6-0 reverse. And then yeah, Thursday the 30th of November, they host Aberdeen. So that's the upcoming fixtures for them. And then the final game of the group is way off in December the 14th, which is when HJK go to PAOK.
Yes. Okay, let's hear from Ali, who sent his thoughts in earlier. Ali, how are people feeling about this upcoming game against Frankfurt?
I have to admit, confidence is probably not going to be that high amongst the team following a 6-0 thrashing about 10 days ago now in Frankfurt. But I think these are the sort of games that HJK or any Finnish team for that matter, they want to be in Europe for. Frankfurt are a huge team. They won the Europa League back in 2002. No, 2022, sorry. I needed an extra two there. And they're a very good team. They played Union Berlin at the weekend and won 3-0. With, in particular, Marmouche getting 2 goals. He's definitely a player to watch. So that was definitely a comfortable win for Frankfurt at the weekend, although I think everyone's beating Union Berlin at the moment. That said, Frankfurt are playing very well this season, and as I mentioned previously, dispatched HJK the other week quite comfortably. So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be hard. HJK have obviously had a few weeks rest after the end of the Veikkausliiga season. That could help. It could mean that the players are well rested. It could also mean that maybe they're lacking a little bit of match sharpness. But ultimately, I think it's going to be a really fantastic occasion. I'll be there on Thursday night. Really looking forward to it. I know Frankfurt will be bringing a lot of fans over from Germany, so I think the atmosphere is going to be great. I'm sure the HJK supporters are going to be right up for it. It's a sellout on Thursday, and I'm just looking for a bit of fight from HJK. I'm not expecting a particularly positive result because there are levels in Europe, and I think we all know that the Bundesliga is certainly one of the strongest. It's also the highest scoring league in Europe this season and has been for many seasons. So I think trying to stop Frankfurt scoring is going to be a monumental task. But yeah, looking forward to it. And yeah, come on, HJK.
Okay, thanks, Ali. Good luck on Thursday. Enjoy the game. But Europa Conference Group G, the table currently sits with PAOK at the top, 3 wins in 3, goal difference of +3. Then in second place, Eintracht Frankfurt, 6 points from 3 games, goal difference of +6. So that all came from the HJK game the other day. Third place is Aberdeen, 1 point from 3. Goal difference -2, and then HJK at the bottom with 1 point from 3 games and a -7 goal difference. So they have been a bit leaky. They let in 2 goals in both of their first 2 games. Oh, sorry, they let in 3 against PAOK and 1 against Aberdeen, and then the 6 against HJK. So certainly some tightening up, and it seems like they were playing with kind of 3 central defenders, some experience in there, plus the wing backs. So I didn't see the game. I don't know what went wrong. It'd be interesting to see how things change in this home fixture.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough whichever way you look at it. I think it's going to be. I mean, you're talking about an Eintracht Frankfurt side who lifted the last season before's Europa League trophy. You know, beat Rangers in the final, beat West Ham in the semi-final. And went on to lift that trophy. So Eintracht are a decent side. I mean, HJK can take heart from the away game in Aberdeen. They need to host Aberdeen in Helsinki. They'll be looking at that fixture, targeting that fixture, I'm sure, for 3 points. But yeah, to sort of make any movement out of this group, I think it might just be beyond them a little bit for this season. But yeah, if they can get a win at home against Aberdeen and you know go to PAOK and see what happens there. I mean, that PAOK's full. What is it? 3 wins from 3 games in this. So I don't suppose you're holding much hope there either. But
as Ali said, there are levels within European football, and you know, HJK and Frankfurt are on different levels. But then when you look at that table and you think we just had these playoffs that Vaasa won. to get into the European Conference next year, and they go in early, and they would have several qualifying rounds, but they finished well behind HJK this year, and HJK are currently sitting there rock bottom of the table.
Yeah,
it shows quite how far the other Veikkausliiga teams would have to overperform to get anywhere in this group stage. I know being in the group stage matters, and picking up points and scoring goals literally earns money.
Yeah. Points make prizes.
Yeah. But it does show quite how far the next step is into that group stage, even in the conference competition.
I mean, our friend of the show, Aki Rihilahti, who's involved with UEFA and the running of the game, and always has an eye out for the smaller nations because of his allegiance to Finland, I suppose. He was a champion of this Europa Conference League. He was really up for it and saying it gives the clubs from the so-called smaller nations the chance to qualify for a group stage of a European competition. But yeah, when you've got, as I said, Eintracht Frankfurt won the Europa League, and that put them into the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? So they've got some pedigree. So, and obviously, I don't think it's a secret that I follow West Ham here in England. I used to be quite into that and avid supporter. And yeah, those guys lifted last season's Europa Conference League. So there's some big old clubs in there. But I think, as I said, with HJK, I think they can look at, obviously the Scottish Premier League is a much more, I was going to say well established. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but it's, over history, I should say. Scotland has had clubs that have achieved in Europe, but I think HJK can look at leagues like the Scottish Premier League and look at clubs like Aberdeen, who they've been drawn in that group with, and maybe sit themselves on a par with clubs like that. So I don't think there's too much to be upset about. They've had a go. They've made it to the group stage, and that's, to be honest with you, I think that for them that season, group stage of a European competition, whichever one it may be, would have been the target. And then maybe next season the target will be to qualify, if they do come down into the Conference League, to qualify out of that. So it's all about building, isn't it, really?
Yeah, no, that's true. Okay, finally, let's have a look at the older, maybe you can just hear now, the magic roundabout music for the managerial merry-go-round. Because it's that time of year, and there's been a lot of changes already. There were some announced part of the way through the season or towards the end of the season, and there's some that have been announced that they're going to be going. But I just thought it was worth noting now some of the changes. So even HJK, Toni Korkeakunnus is leaving and will be replaced by Ferran Sibila. Now, has that happened, or is that happening at the end of this European campaign?
I think it's happening.
Yeah. Okay.
Could be wrong.
No, that's what we exist for, isn't it? It's to ask questions that we can't answer. Again, Rich would know.
Let us know in the comments.
But remember, if you're going to make comments, keep them friendly.
That's it, yeah.
At Ilves, this was announced earlier. Toni Kallio has left and will be replaced by Joonas Rantanen, who's come from Gnistan. And they were involved in the playoffs, weren't they, to come up to the Veikkausliiga?
We said about this last week, or whenever it was, the week before. Gnistan have announced, or whoever's leaked the news, have announced that this guy's off on the eve of maybe Nistan's most historic game in their recent history.
Yeah,
and it didn't do them any favours.
No, it didn't. They got spanked 3-0, didn't they, by Mariehamn? I think that man Tuco for Mariehamn, he must have been playing for a contract again, because he got an important goal, kept them in the Veikkausliiga. He'll be there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Rantanen goes into Ilves. Honka Teemu Tainio has left and has been replaced by Andy Smith. Do you know much about Andy Smith?
No,
me either. I looked at a little at his playing career in kind of the lower leagues in England, and also played in.
Oh, he's not finished.
Ireland. No, Andy Smith. Come on. Yeah. Well, actually, do you know? This is nothing to do with football. But Satu has a friend who has the surname, a Finnish family that has the surname Smith, because way back when the granddad emigrated to America, I think he had reason to need to change his name, so he chose Smith, and then brought it back when he came back. I don't know the details, so I wouldn't like to speculate, but they are the
Moving
Smiths.
swiftly
They're
on.
the Finnish Smiths.
There you go.
At Oulu, Ricardo Duarte is out. I believe that Tuomas Silvenainen is due to move in there, but Rich said that has not yet been announced, unless we've just announced it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't believe we know anything before anyone, especially not us two.
yeah.
Asiko Joaquin Gomez has left. He had signed an extension to the contract, but he's gone to dip his finger in the gravy train that is Saudi Arabian football in the second division. He's taken Robbie Fowler's. Michel has taken over Robbie Fowler's job, and Joaquin's gone in there as part of the coaching team there in the Saudi second division. This is breaking news, listener. Inter have announced that Jarko Viss will be leaving. That is on the Veikkausliiga website as of this evening or this afternoon, the 6th of November, which is interesting because I think he was expected to. I mean, he's a respected manager, and I think he's a decent manager, and had a good time at Ilves, but it just didn't work for him this year at Inter. They really struggled and finished in 6th place, and very meh kind of
going through a bit of a transition. I think it's fair to say, bit of a rebuild. Lost a couple of legends in recent times, and a lot of work to be done at Inter Turku.
Maybe we should get our friend, the Armada Turku fan club, back on the show, and see what he thinks. Maybe mid-season, maybe close season, try and get a few fans from other clubs to come in and talk about what's happening at their club.
We've spoke about that before, haven't we? But that's definitely something we're gonna look into and get a bit more of. Fans from each Veikkausliiga club and beyond. So if you're listening and you want to come onto the podcast and tell us about your club, give us a shout.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple more managerial transfers before we wind up. Maringham, Jimmy Warg is out. He's moving to become the managing director of the club, apparently. But there's not yet a replacement being announced. And also poor Kortepe, who slipped all the way down from mid-table through the trapdoor. Juha Malinen is leaving there, and I haven't seen an announcement for a replacement as of yet. Anything to add, Keke?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if there's any more news, or if the merry-go-round keeps going, we'll bring it to you as and when. But I think you've summarised that very well, me old mate.
Yeah, and we will be back soon, because the football doesn't stop until we get into December. Coming up soon are more Euro qualifiers for the Hulkujat. And if this,
I'm off to San Marino in a couple of weeks.
Are you going away again? I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
Well, then you know better than me right now what games are coming up.
Yeah, so we've got. I know we've got San Marino away.
That's the final game of the season. That one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the last game.
And it's Northern Ireland, of course. So 17th of November. That's the end of next week. Oh man, alive! I can't keep up with this. The end of next week, Friday 17th. Finland versus Northern Ireland in Helsinki. And then the 20th is at the Tuesday. San Marino, Finland in San Marino with Keke there. We'll have to see if we can get, in the next few days, see if we can get a fan from each of those. I think the San Marino fan club is quite active on social media, and you know, maybe we should try and reach out to them, and then also see if you can meet him in person over there, like you did with our friend from Slovenia. Yeah,
sounds good.
All right, but I reckon, Keke, that's probably about the right time to about the right place to wind it up.
I've just got one more point I want to make. Sorry, mate, before we say goodbye, if you will indulge me. Obviously, we chatted on about Helmarit and how well they played. But yeah, those of the listeners who listen to our preview shows will remember that we mentioned a couple of players who have not quite made these squads or have been in and around the international scene, but have maybe slipped off the radar for whatever reason. And I just wanted to give a big shout out to Jenny Danielsson, who scored at the weekend in the Damallsvenskan for KIF Örebro. Forgive my Swedish pronunciation. But yeah, so to preserve their position in the top tier of Swedish women's football next season. So yeah, she was quite emotional about that. It's been a bit of a road through. She had a couple of injuries at Rangers and scored a few goals at Rangers, so did well, but obviously left them after a year or so. Made it back to Sweden, and yeah, popped up with a goal and secured Örebro's Allsvenskan status for next year. So well done, Jenny.
Very good. Okay, listener, thanks for listening. Keke, thanks for being here. And until the next episode of the Finnish Football Show, goodbye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Finnish Football Show. You can find us online at finishfootballshow.com. Remember to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening or watching. You can follow the Finnish Football Show page and group on Facebook and also on Instagram. See the links in the episode description. You can also connect with the 5 hosts on Twitter, at Explore Finland, at FC Suomi, at Escape to Suomi, at Kekkimuleri, and at Mano99. Links to the Finnish Football Show merch stores are also in the episode description.